What scares you more, the monster you see in me, or the fact that you're the one who created it? You thought I'd crumble, but now, I'll show you the power of a roar that shakes the world. The screen fades in, a shadowy figure stands under a blood-red sky, their back turned to the camera. The wind howls through a barren wasteland littered with shattered relics. A deep, resonant voice begins. Do you remember the first time you called me a monster? The way your words cut deeper than any blade. You looked at me, not with fear, but with disgust, as if I was less than human, as if I was nothing. The figure clenches their fists, glowing embers falling to the ground as their body trembles with barely contained rage. But I wasn't always like this. Once, I stood beside you. I fought for you. I bled for you. And when the world grew dark, I thought you would hold the light for me. Instead, you turned your back. You let the darkness consume me, because it was easier than standing by my side. The camera pans to their face, a mix of sorrow and fury, their eyes faintly glowing. In that moment, I broke, shattered like glass. And every piece of me that hit the ground carried the weight of your betrayal. The music grows darker, a low, ominous beat. The screen flickers to flashes of memories, betrayal, whispers, and the figure collapsing to their knees. You didn't just call me a monster. You made me one. The figure's voice grows colder, more resolute, as flames begin to rise around them. And now, the very thing you feared is standing right in front of you. The flames around the figure intensify, their shadows stretching and warping across the desolate landscape. The voice becomes sharper, filled with conviction. You thought I would stay broken, that the darkness would swallow me whole. But you didn't realize something, did you? Monsters don't fade into the night, they thrive in it. I found strength in every wound you gave me, in every scar you left behind. The camera zooms in as the figure rises, fire igniting in their hands, their form now glowing with an otherworldly energy. In the silence, I forged myself anew. Every insult became armor. Every betrayal, a weapon. And every ounce of pain you handed me became the fuel for this fire. You didn't destroy me. You transformed me. Flashbacks play, the figure struggling in the dark, slowly standing, their body alight with growing power. The music swells with intensity, drums echoing like a heartbeat. You see, the monster you created doesn't crawl. It doesn't beg. It doesn't break. It rises. It grows stronger, fiercer, and hungrier. And now, I stand here, not as what you feared, but as something far worse, what you deserve. The figure looks directly into the camera, their eyes blazing with fury and determination. You called me a monster. So, I became one. The screen turns pitch black. For a moment, there's only the sound of a deep, echoing heartbeat. Then, with a sudden burst, fire erupts across the scene, revealing the figure standing tall, a silhouette surrounded by flames. The voice now carries unshakable authority. You wanted a monster? You got one. But this isn't the mindless beast you imagined. No. This is something you can't control, something you'll never contain. The figure raises their arms, the flames surging higher, twisting into shapes of wings and claws. Shadows of their enemies appear in the distance, trembling as the ground quakes beneath their feet. I don't just exist anymore. I command. I don't just survive, I dominate. Every ounce of fire you tried to extinguish now burns brighter, hotter, stronger. And it will consume everything in its path, starting with you. The music reaches a crescendo, an orchestral mix of strings and pounding drums, as the figure takes a single, deliberate step forward. The world around them crumbles under their sheer presence. You feared me for what I was. Now, fear me for what I've become. This isn't a cry for help, and it's not a plea for mercy. This is the roar of power that you'll never silence. The figure unleashes a deafening roar, a shockwave of fire and shadows engulfing the screen. The final shot shows the figure standing on a throne made of ash and flame, their enemies kneeling before them in terror. I am your monster. And I am unstoppable. The screen fades to black, leaving only the sound of crackling flames. The flames subside, leaving behind smoldering ruins and an eerie silence. The figure now stands on a scorched battlefield, their silhouette outlined by the dim glow of embers. The voice is calm, yet heavy with power and conviction. You thought this was the end? No. This is just the beginning. Because monsters like me don't fade into legend, we carve them into the bones of the earth. The camera pans to the ruins of a great city, its walls crumbled, and its banners torn. Shadows of the defeated lie in the ashes. The figure steps forward, their gaze unyielding. What you called a curse became my strength. What you thought was my defeat became my rise. And now, the world will remember, not the lies you told, not the betrayal you spun, but the truth of what I've become. The music transitions to a slower, almost haunting melody, as the figure reaches down and picks up a broken sword from the ashes, holding it high. The blade, once dull and shattered, begins to glow with fire and power. This isn't vengeance, it's justice. This isn't destruction, it's renewal. From this moment on, the world will no longer fear the monster in the shadows. It will bow to the force standing in the light. The camera zooms out, revealing the figure walking through the ruins, their steps steady, leaving a trail of flame in their wake. Behind them, a new city begins to rise from the ashes, glowing with the same fire that fuels them. You called me a monster, and you were right. But monsters, we don't just roar. We rebuild. We rise. And we reign. The screen fades to black, and a final phrase appears in glowing, fiery letters. Monsters don't end. They evolve. The screen opens to a vast horizon, where the sun is rising, blood red, casting long shadows across the land. The figure stands on a towering cliff, overlooking the world below. Their voice now resonates with an eerie calm, filled with undeniable authority. This isn't just my story, it's a warning. To all who think they can shatter someone and leave them in the dark, know this, the darkness isn't where we die. It's where we are reborn. The wind howls as the figure extends a hand, flames dancing along their fingertips, casting flickering shadows behind them. Below, armies gather, hesitant to approach. The camera pans across their faces, filled with fear and awe. You thought I would stay silent, that my fire would burn out. But look at me now. Everything you tried to destroy has become indestructible. Every wound has become a scar I wear as armor. The figure turns, their eyes piercing through the screen, addressing the audience directly. This is your only chance. Fear me, respect me, or stay out of my way. Because the next time you cross paths with the fire you created, there will be no mercy. Only ashes. The ground beneath the figure ignites, fire spreading outward in an unstoppable wave. The screen flashes with the roar of flames, and the camera zooms out, revealing the world consumed by their power, not in destruction, but transformation, a land reshaped by their will. The music swells, a mix of haunting violins and thunderous drums, as the voice delivers its final words. You called me a monster. But monsters, they don't just survive. They conquer. They become legends. The screen fades to black, and the words appear in fiery, bold letters. This is the legacy of fire. The screen opens to a vast horizon, where the sun is rising, blood red, casting long shadows across the land. The figure stands on a towering cliff, overlooking the world below. Their voice now resonates with an eerie calm, filled with undeniable authority. This isn't just my story, it's a warning. To all who think they can shatter someone and leave them in the dark, know this, the darkness isn't where we die. It's where we are reborn. The wind howls as the figure extends a hand, flames dancing along their fingertips, casting flickering shadows behind them. Below, armies gather, hesitant to approach. The camera pans across their faces, filled with fear and awe. You thought I would stay silent, that my fire would burn out. But look at me now. Everything you tried to destroy has become indestructible. Every wound has become a scar I wear as armor. The figure turns, their eyes piercing through the screen, addressing the audience directly. This is your only chance. Fear me, respect me, or stay out of my way. Because the next time you cross paths with the fire you created, there will be no mercy. Only ashes. The ground beneath the figure ignites, fire spreading outward in an unstoppable wave. The screen flashes with the roar of flames, and the camera zooms out, revealing the world consumed by their power, not in destruction, but transformation, a land reshaped by their will. The music swells, a mix of haunting violins and thunderous drums, as the voice delivers its final words. You called me a monster. But monsters, they don't just survive. They conquer. They become legends. The screen fades to black, and the words appear in fiery, bold letters. This is the legacy of fire. The screen opens to the aftermath of the firestorm. The landscape, once consumed by flames, now glows with renewal, blackened earth giving way to sprouting greenery. The figure walks through the reborn world, their once fiery steps now calm and purposeful. The voice speaks, softer yet no less powerful. From ashes, life returns. From destruction, a new beginning. And from the monster you created, came the ruler you never expected. The camera focuses on the figure's face, no longer shadowed in fury but illuminated by a quiet, determined light. They look toward a distant horizon where a thriving city rises, its towers gleaming with both shadow and fire, a balance between light and darkness. I am no longer the broken soul you cast aside. I am no longer the fire you tried to extinguish. I am both the shadow and the flame. And I have learned one truth. The music swells, a mix of triumphant strings and deep, resonating bass. The figure raises their arms, addressing a growing crowd of people who gather in awe and reverence. The camera pans across their faces, not of fear, but of hope. The monster doesn't destroy. It transforms. It rebuilds. And now, it reigns, not through fear, but through the strength that fear forged. The crowd kneels, a wave of allegiance sweeping through the scene. The figure turns to face the audience one last time, their eyes steady and filled with purpose. I was the fire. I was the fury. And now, I am the future. Remember this, all of you, monsters don't end in shadows. They rise as legends. And I am the proof. The screen fades to black, and a final phrase burns onto the screen in fiery letters. Legends are born in the fire they tried to extinguish.